Hello Facebook ads people, another video today. If you like the content, hit the like button and subscribe, it really helps me a lot. As we go closer to the end of 2021, a lot of people are actually saying, is it going to be worse in 2022? For me, personally, I think that 2021 wasn't that a bad year. I had very good results with my clients. Of course, I'm talking mostly about established businesses and businesses that I could scale. Other than that, maybe for new advertisers, it was extremely challenging, but I think it wasn't that a bad year. Everything that's going to happen in 2022 is going to be predefined by what Apple is going to do with iOS 15, because we know that the problem of reporting is not solved and it's going to get even worse with the iOS 15 introduction. And of course, we don't know if Android or other partners or platforms are going to follow to that direction. So I have a whole video about the iOS 15 and the changes. Of course, I will keep you updated as the time passes by. But for now, in order to understand how 2022 will go, we need to analyze how 2021 went in comparison with 2020. Okay, so I have prepared some charts for you. Let's start with the first one, which is the comparison between the average Facebook ROAS from 2020 and 2021. As we can see, the ROAS numbers are much higher in 2020. We know that 2020 was an amazing year and it was having amazing results, but we also know that in 2021 the results were not that bad, but we had also less reporting. So in my opinion, this doesn't reflect the reality, but it really shows us that the average ROAS that they have been reported, they were less. Okay, now another chart. E-commerce Facebook reported ROAS. So this is the reported ROAS for 2020 and 2021. And we can see also the line, which is before and after iOS 14.5 full release on May 30. So here, we can see that 2021 started actually really good. Okay, we had very good reported ROAS, and it was actually better if we compare it with the same months on 2020. And after that, we also remember that. Okay, I remember that 2021 January and February were very good months, and then we have suddenly the drop, and we can see just a whole decline as we go down, and after the iOS it's getting worse, which is being stabilized a little bit. Sadly, I'm not having the report from the Black Friday. I can tell you, and I believe that the Black Friday was good. I don't know if it's because Facebook was over-reporting some things, but I can tell you that the charts should be much better from where they have been left at the end of October. Now, what are we seeing over here is that in 2021, all the reported ROAS dropped comparing to the 2021, which is something that we analyzed also in the previous. But we didn't know that actually the Facebook e-commerce reported ROAS actually increased and then dropped. And then we have another chart that I would like to show you. It's the CPMs. The CPMs chart and the e-commerce Facebook CPMs is what really intrigued me in this analysis. We can see that even if we had some high CPMs higher than 2020 at the starting months, also what does CPM mean? CPM means that if you have high CPMs, basically you have more competition, and it means that you are going to pay more to get results. So it means that you are having less ROAS because you are having more competition. We can see that throughout the whole year, okay, and not after iOS, but even before, the CPMs were high. What does this mean? This means that 2020, with all the quarantine and whatever we had, these strains, disease, virus, whatever, and all of the things that happened, people and companies start doing the transition between going from retail to e-commerce and so on, because they realized after the first quarantine, of course, that they could scale like this. And this is something that caused everybody to go inside the platform and start advertising, which means we have more competition, we have higher CPMs, and we're going to have worse results for everyone because this is a market and it has a balance also. That means that if we see the CPMs as they are, for the whole year, they kind of stayed the same, which means that a lot of the people that they have entered the market, they had no other way of advertising and they stayed. Even if the reported ROAS, as we have seen to the other chart, they actually dropped. Now, another graph is the e-commerce Facebook spend. And it's also good if we analyze all of these graphs together. So we're going to analyze the e-commerce Facebook spend along with the e-commerce Facebook CPMs. And we're going to see that the spend actually was higher. Okay, so the speculation that more people entered the market and the people were actually spending more, so the CPMs were higher and we had more competition is correct. But this is happening only before the iOS 14. After the iOS 14, we can see that we have a drop on the spending. So what happened over here? Does anyone know? I have one theory, and it's coming directly from my clients. After iOS, a lot of people like me, we know that a lot of people that they were advertising, they stopped. We know that. But we know that a lot of people that they stayed, they were saying, I don't care about the results that you have on the platform. I want you to scale more. And this is why the CPMs actually never dropped, but the spend actually was the same. So in my opinion, what happened is that the spend dropped a little bit, but the CPMs stayed higher because we had, of course, lesser results, lesser reported ROAS, which means that the CPMs were higher because of the bad reporting. But we also had people that they were spending even more, okay, and a lot of people that they left. This is why we can see that we have exactly the same spend after that period in the iOS for 2020 and 2021. Some people left, but the people that they stayed, they were spending more because they were seeing better results in the reality. So this is why the CPMs were actually stayed in a high level, because we were having the people that stayed spending more, so having exactly the same spend as before, and also we didn't have the same CPMs as 2020 because we were having lesser reporting. On top of that, I need to also mention that from the start of 2021, we have an attribution model of 7 days instead of 28 days. It makes sense that if you are actually measuring results from 28 days, you are going to have more reported ROAS instead of measuring just the results of 7 days only. And one last thing that I want to point out here is that if we see the chart of e-commerce Facebook reported ROAS, we have two small mountains over here. These small mountains, as I like to call them, they are the attack periods. And these are the periods that I was able to scale a lot of companies because we were having more spending. The first one is the first quarantine. And the second one is the Black Friday of 2020. So also take care, also you have to look on these attack periods, and whenever they are coming, you need to scale your accounts because you won't be able to scale them in other normal periods, especially as we can see as the CPMs stayed high and a lot of companies didn't stand any chance. The things that I understand from these graphics and whatever I presented to you here today is that for the new beginners on 2021, it was extremely difficult. With that high CPMs and with zero data, I understand it was super difficult. But I can understand that the companies that they were already established and they have also adapted to maybe measure better the results and spend more so that they can benefit on the actual results and not on what they were seeing on the Facebook ads platform. All of these companies, they actually benefited, and I can tell you that they have companies that they have done very good years in 2021. So the results are here. You can analyze them the way that you want, and this is my personal opinion about the results and why the CPMs were high, why the ROAS were like this. It's sad that we don't have the results of 2021 Black Friday. They're going to take some time to produce. But other than that, I must say that it was a good year. Now, about 2022, I don't know what is going to happen, but all I know is that we have the metaverse coming, we have the iOS changes coming, we need to see if Facebook is going to adapt to that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because companies, like we have seen, they're always going to find a way to adapt to the new reality, and it's up to us to find different ways to go around the obstacles that we're going to find. It's never going to be a peaceful sea, but it's also going to have rough days with big waves that we will have to ride. Until we meet again, be creative and be consistent in the universe and in the metaverse.